Today's episode is about a form of influence that rarely seeks the spotlight, yet reshapes systems at a global level. Influence driven not by visibility or status, but by moral courage and sustained action. This is the story of Kailash Satyarthi. His journey shows us how compassion becomes strategy, how persistence becomes power, and how influence can be built by protecting those with no voice at all. Kailash Satyarthi was born in India in 1954, in a society where child labour was widespread, normalised, and largely invisible. As a young boy, he witnessed children his own age working in dangerous conditions, denied education and freedom. These early observations planted a question that would shape his life. Why should some children learn while others labour? Unlike many forms of influence that begin with ambition, Satyarthi's began with moral discomfort. He trained as an engineer, but increasingly recognised that technical progress meant little if human dignity was ignored. This awareness became conviction, and conviction became action. Rather than pursuing a conventional professional path, Satyarthi chose a far more difficult route. He dedicated his life to ending child labour and human trafficking, often placing himself in direct danger. He organised raids to rescue children from factories, mines, and bonded labour. He confronted criminal networks, corrupt systems, and deeply embedded economic incentives. This was not symbolic activism. It was operational, physical, and risky. Satyarthi understood that influence is rarely granted when it challenges profitable systems. It must be taken carefully, persistently, and at personal cost. One of Satyarthi's most important leadership choices was to build movements rather than rely on individual heroism. He founded and supported organizations focused on child rights, education, and rehabilitation. He worked with communities, governments, and international bodies to address not just the symptoms of child labor, but the systems that sustain it. Education, poverty reduction, legal reform, and economic alternatives were all part of the strategy. This systems approach is critical. Satyarthi recognized that rescue without reform is temporary. Influence must be embedded into structures if change is to last. In 2014, Kailash Satyarthi was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, shared with Malala Yousafzai, recognizing decades of work to protect children's rights and promote education. The award did not change his mission, but it amplified his platform. What's striking is how Satyarthi used this visibility. He did not pivot to celebrity advocacy. He doubled down on substance. He continued to speak about uncomfortable truths, economic exploitation, consumer responsibility, and systemic injustice. His authority comes not from rhetoric, but from alignment between words and decades of action. Kailash Satyarthi's leadership is uncompromising, but not inflexible. He works across political, cultural, and economic boundaries, yet remains anchored to a clear moral line. Children should be free, educated, and protected. This clarity is what gives his influence strength. He does not dilute his message to gain approval. He does not soften truth to maintain comfort. In a world often distracted by performative concern, Satyarthi's influence reminds us that sustained compassion can be one of the most powerful forces for change. Kailash Satyarthi's life offers profound lessons in influence. First, moral courage creates authority. Second, compassion can be operationalized into strategy. Third, systems change requires persistence, not popularity. Fourth, influence grows when action matches conviction. Finally, the most enduring leadership often protects those with the least power. Satyarthi shows us that influence does not need to be loud, but it does need to be relentless. Kailash Satyarthi did not set out to become influential. He set out to stop injustice, one child at a time. His legacy is measured not in followers or headlines, but in lives changed, systems challenged, and futures reclaimed. I'm Hannah Hally, and this was Icons of Influence. Until next time, remember that the deepest influence is often found where courage meets compassion, and that leadership can begin with the simple decision to no longer look away.